welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're totally exhausted from seeing 50 different clever prompt hacks on Twitter, and you're constantly wondering which ones actually survive contact with the real world, well, you're in the right place. Today, I'm putting on my senior engineer hat. We're going to completely bypass those brittle internet tricks. Instead, we're building a robust, production-ready prompt from the ground up, relying entirely on Anthropic's official, distilled engineering guidance. We're talking durable, actual techniques that really move the needle on your outputs. Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for this masterclass. We'll be hitting 6 core areas: building your baseline prompt, structuring with XML tags, multishot prompting patterns, thinking and output control, scaling to agentic systems, and finally, a production troubleshooting guide.
All right, let's jump into section 1, building your baseline prompt. Clarity over cleverness. When we deploy to production, the absolute foundation of everything is clarity. Think about it. If a colleague who doesn't have any context on your task would be confused reading your prompt, the model's going to be confused too. Anthropic has this fantastic framing I just love. Treat the model exactly like a brilliant but brand new employee who lacks context on your norms and workflows. You wouldn't give a new hire a vague, hand-wavy directive, right? You'd give them prescriptive limits. You'd explain the why behind the instructions so they can generalize. And, this is key, you always state exactly what they should do rather than what they shouldn't do. Telling a model what to avoid forces it to keep the forbidden behavior in its context window, which is basically a reverse psychology trap. Always be positive and direct. Now, look at the sheer difference a little clarity makes here. Simply adding hard constraints instantly closes off the model's freedom to underdeliver. Telling a model, hey, summarize this text and be concise, is a soft constraint. What does concise mean? You might still get a massive paragraph. But asking it to summarize this text in exactly 1 to 2 sentences, use a formal tone, bam, that's a hard constraint. You've instantly upgraded your baseline. Oh, and pro tip, always write the prompt in the tone you want back. If you want a clipped operational output, write your prompt exactly that way. Moving right along to section 2, structuring with XML tags, the load-bearing scaffolding. So now we've got our clear instructions, but what I see junior devs miss literally all the time is structure. Enter XML tags. Because Claude's training data was absolutely packed with XML, the model parses these natively. It's like a first language for it. Following these exact steps to separate your prompt's components completely stops the model from confusing context with instructions. And pay attention to step 1 here. If you have a massive 20,000 token document, put it at the very top, way above your question. Anthropic actually reports up to a 30% quality lift on multi-document tasks simply by moving that long context to the top and pushing the instructions to the bottom. 30%. That's massive. If you're working with multiple documents, just wrap the whole batch in a plural documents tag and nest each item in a numbered document tag. But here is the real senior level trick. Look at the instruction at the bottom. Extract quotes first. By explicitly demanding the model pull quotes from the XML before it does its synthesis, it commits to the actual source material before it even has a chance to hallucinate. It basically forces the model to create a perfectly auditable trail of exactly where its conclusions came from. Brilliant, right? All right, section 3, multi-shot prompting patterns. Show, don't tell. Okay, this is the crucial turning point in our build, behavioral conditioning. We've got our scaffolding, but now we need to steer the output by showing, not just telling. By using these multi-shot rules, you teach your grading rubric way faster than any long block of instructions ever could. Your examples have to be relevant to the exact task, obviously, but they also need to be diverse. If they aren't, the model might accidentally latch onto some weird, irrelevant pattern, like thinking every single output must start with the word the. Keep them safely organized inside example XML tags. And honestly, my absolute favorite trick here is self-auditing. Literally just ask the model itself to review your examples for diversity and relevance. It works like a charm. To really see how this supercharges highly subjective tasks, like tone evaluation or quality grading, showing both what good looks like and what bad looks like on the exact same input is the ultimate cheat code. By putting these contrasting pairs right there in your XML, you teach the model your exact grading rubric in seconds. Pairing a target style right next to a failing outcome for the identical input makes the boundaries of your expectations perfectly crystal clear. Let's move to section 4. Thinking and output control, managing execution. With our scaffolding and examples locked in, we now need to manage how the model reasons.
And guys, the order here is absolutely everything. If you ask the model for its reasoning after it gives the answer, you're just getting post-hoc justification. The answer was already locked in. But if you ask the model to think first, often by giving it a specific thinking tag to use, you actually steer the final outcome. The model gets to deliberate, work through the logic, and then commit to a final response.
Now, with newer models, we're heavily utilizing adaptive thinking. Take a look at how Anthropic recommends calibrating this effort. If you're seeing shallow reasoning, don't immediately start reaching for weird prompt hacks. Just raise the effort level. Max is for those mind-bending, hardest intelligence-bound problems, while low is for your quick, latency-sensitive tasks. It's all about matching your budget and time constraints directly to the workload. To guarantee your output doesn't completely shatter your downstream parser, you need to apply these exact control techniques. And listen to me carefully on this next point. If you learned how to prompt even just a year ago, you're probably used to the old prefill trick where you'd start the assistance message with an open curly bracket to force JSON. Yeah, that is totally dead on the latest models. You'll just get a 400 error. You absolutely must use the official structured outputs feature now. Oh, and a quick sanity check. Don't forget to explicitly disable LaTeX or markdown if your system parser can't handle them. Section 5. Scaling to agentic systems. Multi-step tool use. When we step into the wild west of long tool use loops, you have to be ruthlessly explicit about wanting action. These newer models are incredibly literal. If you ask, can you suggest changes to improve this function? Well, it's going to do exactly that. It'll write a lovely list of suggestions and stop entirely short of actually writing the code. You have to command it, change this function to improve its performance. Demand the direct action. Building for agents means actively managing state across context windows and setting up very strict guardrails to protect our systems. For example, you must explicitly tell the model if an action is destructive or irreversible, like executing a git command or deleting files. And when your context window inevitably refreshes, trust your file system. Tell the model to read your local code files or run a basic terminal command to reorient itself, rather than trying to rely on massive, messy context compaction. And please, add a line to explicitly forbid over-engineering, or you're going to end up with 10 layers of abstractions that you never asked for. And finally, Section 6. Production Troubleshooting Guide. When prompts fail. Let's be real, even the most meticulously crafted, beautiful prompts will eventually break in the real world. When they do, this quote right here is Anthropic's ultimate reality check. Staring at a prompt and guessing why it failed based on vibes? Yeah, that's a massive waste of time. You have to iterate against evals. Setting up a simple 4-question rubric and running it systematically on 20 different inputs will catch way more regressions than reading your prompt over 1,000 times. You simply cannot improve what you do not measure. When you're in the trenches debugging, the rule of thumb is to loosen the prompt first, then tighten it only when you see specific failure modes pop up. Believe it or not, most broken production prompts were just over-constrained. And please, stop yelling at the model. Strip out the all caps. Newer models will literally punish you for aggressive over-prompting, like screaming, "Critical, you must do this." Just keep your system prompt trimmed down strictly to role and tool definitions. Otherwise, you're going to accidentally inflate your thinking token costs for no reason. So the very next time you find yourself doom-scrolling Twitter looking for some magical silver bullet prompt hack, I want you to stop. Realize that your fix is almost certainly just identifying which of these 6 load-bearing families your prompt is currently missing. Have you fully structured your XML? Did you actually provide diverse examples? Are you giving it the space to think before it answers? I promise you the issue is almost always missing one of these foundational pillars. I want to leave you with this question. Go review your own codebase right now. Audit your absolute weakest prompt against these 6 pillars and just see how quickly you can architect a massive breakthrough. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy building out there.
If you found this helpful, hit subscribe and the bell so you never miss a video.